According to God, the white man is the devil.
See, I've been in here for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I see niggas, they like to talk a lot. They like to claim leadership. They like to claim this and that. You know what I'm saying? They like to be above what they really is and have authority. But they don't really need that authority. They don't really know what to do with that leadership. Understand? You hold hands with this boy, your ass need to stop it. Ass you to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. See, everybody ain't with all that peace talk. Everybody ain't with all that bygone. Boy, your ass need to stop it. Ass you to prophets. My nigga serious. When they hit us with dope and kill us with crack, where the fuck with your leaders? I'm curious. He cashed out on your blood, traded you in and bought a new biz. Ask you the prophets, I tell you the scheme. If you don't wake up, you gon' die in your dreams. I say you won't tell you no more. I swear these crackers try to kill us slow. Just spoke to a nigga and fed he up on parole because of the COVID. It feel like the host in this world that don't go together. Nowhere it's gold in the ghetto. I'm in the city blazing with my niggas. Just told the devil the skull never settle. Yeah, see the prophets. I'm tired of these niggas keep talking about, you know, you respect my religion, I respect your religion. Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass need the prophets. You know, like we all come together. Cause you know what I'm saying? They say God so loved the world. God so loved the world to know. Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass need the prophets. Don't give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe. You gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, we don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass shit. Oh, I'm gonna step up, I'm silent for show. To the fake niggas, stay silent, I got it, let's go. Let's go. I ain't taking no losses, ain't no talking when we got the flow. Ain't no peace, just play with your own. I'ma be loyal to the right arm. Tell them we can't keep it slate. And I can never let bygone be bygone. Got your baby mother on high, your baby pants through the fire. Ain't she the prophets? That baby soul belong to the Lord. How dare you abort it? Therefore will failure, bitch, I can afford it. I prepare slaughter, you bring me my water. Push your leaders weak, let them lies slip through their teeth. Their ass need to stop it, ass see the prophets.
That's just the reality, Christians. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings. I know your pastor lied to you every Sunday for 30 years, but that's what the church is for, lying. That's why they exist, to lie the money out of your pockets.
Boy, your ass need to stop it, ass need to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga.
Clap it up. Shalom, Israel. We're the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Started at a 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the Commanding General Yohana. Okay? This is Austin's Monday night history breakdown class. I want everybody to give Officer 500 Gadawa a hand. Okay? Yeah, things are good. He saw that I was fit to take the class, so that's what we're going to do tonight. And tonight we're going to touch on MLK, Martin Luther King. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day today. Officer Tamakia, young man. And for those who don't know, Martin Luther King, he was a civil rights leader who got integration to happen. That's what he contributed, you know? Okay, but we're here to show you today that wasn't such a great thing for so-called Blacks, Hispanics, or Native Indians. Okay, and the thing is this is what's so wicked about this day. What's so wicked about Martin Luther King Day is that this is a day that America believes is a victory. Okay, this is a day that so-called Blacks, you know what they are today? They're African today. They're going to wear their red, black, and green. They're going to wear all their black fit. You know, they're going to do that. All right. So we got to get clear understanding. All right. I seen downtown today at UT. You know what they did? They marched. Had Edomites, had Judites, Issacharites, Moabites, Ishmaelites.
Oh, yeah.
They're all marching hand in hand. You know why? Because today America feels this is a victory for America. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians feel this is a victory. All these other nations feel this is a victory for today. But why do we think this is a victory when we're still dying of oppression, right? When we're still being murdered at a high rate, incarcerated at a high rate? We are starving. We are dying. We have Mexican babies on the border right now who were stripped from their parents. Today is not a victory, okay? Because that would never have happened if we would have just stuck to our own, right? Like the Most High said, okay? So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, today is not a victory. It was a victory for the white man because they knew they had to integrate. It was better for them because what happened just a little bit of time after we was out of slavery? We caught up. It took us about 40 years to catch up from them when we had we was 400 years behind. Okay? So today we're going to get into a couple stories. We're going to see a couple things that happened. We're going to look at real history, and we are going to get understanding that integration is not a great thing. Right. And the Bible does not teach that. Okay? You're supposed to stick to your own customs. All right? Give me Martin Luther King in the Bible, young man.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13 and verse 1.
Uh-huh.
If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder.
All right, if there arises among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams. What is Martin Luther King's famous words? Go ahead, young man.
I have a dream.
I have a dream. I have a dream that our kids won't be what do they say? Won't be something by their color, but by the content of their character. That they can hold hands together. Right. Equality. The Bible don't teach equality. Right. And that's what we want. But we want equality from the people that we are not equal to. We want equality from the people that are over us. That's not going to happen. Okay. It says this: if among you rise a prophet or a dreamer of dreams. That's what Martin Luther King was. He was prophesying this agenda that everybody's going to come together. But what he didn't tell you is everybody was going to come together at the expense of you. Not at the expense of everybody, but at the expense of you. Continue reading, young man.
Verse 2.
No, finish out.
Verse 1?
Yeah, and give it. You can go ahead and start from the top of verse 1. Just go ahead.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13 and verse 1. If there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder.
And that's what he did, right? He gave a sign and a wonder. He gave that sign that he wanted us to be able to come together with our so-called, with the oppressor. But he wanted that for a reason. He wanted that to satisfy his own lust. And that's what we got to get understanding for. Like, why did this happen? And this happened because of him serving his own lust. Continue reading.
Verse 2. And the sign or the wonder came to pass.
And the what?
And the sign or the wonder come to pass.
And the sign and the wonder come to pass. So it was no longer segregation, but it became integration. Okay, continue reading.
Whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods.
Let us what?
Let us go after other gods.
Let us what?
Let us go after other gods.
That's what you're doing when you go in with these other nations. You sleeping with these other nations. You making covenants with these other nations. You're binding yourself to these other nations, giving your sons and daughters. Well, that means you going after other gods. And that's what we cannot do. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we cannot be going after other gods. We need to go after our gods, okay? We need to go after our God, so like it, our God. Yahweh, the most high power, the one and true living God. That's who we need to seek after. We don't need to seek, we need to seek after Yahweh Shai Mashiach to be like him, not after Caesar Borgia. We need to serve the real Christ and stop serving these other gods. You're serving these other gods every holiday. Every holiday is after some god. And that's what you're doing. You are serving other gods instead of serving your God. Continue reading, young man.
Deuteronomy chapter 13 and verse 2. Let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them.
Which thou hast not known. Why does it say which thou hast not known? Go ahead.
Because we're not familiar with other gods.
We're not familiar. Your fathers didn't know them. Your fathers didn't teach you this. Just like our family taught us what? What did we learn?
Deuteronomy 13.
We learned Christianity. We learned Islam. We learned Kemetology, some of us, okay? So that's what we learned. We learned these structures of these other gods instead of learning our God.
Right.
Instead of learning our true power. Okay? Continue reading, young man.
Verse 3. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet.
That what?
Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet.
When we talk about integration, thou what?
Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet.
Love thy enemy, thou shalt what?
Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet.
You should not hearken unto the words of that prophet. That person telling you to come together. That person going against your God. We know what the Lord says, right? And we go against him when we say things like that. Like God loves everybody. Like everybody should hold hands. Join hand in hand. Continue reading, young man.
Verse 3. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams.
Or that what?
Or that dreamer of dreams.
That was his dream. That Martin Luther King speech, that was his dream. He wrote those words. That wasn't the Lord's dream. That wasn't our King Yahweh's dream. That wasn't Israel's dream. That was Martin Luther King's dream. It says, thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet, or that dreamer of dreams. Continue reading, young man.
Verse 3. For the Lord your God proveth you to know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul.
He proveth you. Are you going to do what I say, or are you going to come up with your own agenda? And obviously, we're going to see later that this was his own agenda. This was not of God. This was not of the Lord. Does anybody know why? How do you know Martin Luther King is not of the Lord? Go ahead.
First off, he's a Christian.
That's why. Give that young man a hand. He was a Christian, but you know what? His father was a part of the commandment keepers. Okay? That was a little Israel. I don't want to say Israelite group, but more the Judaism. Okay, right. They was learning from them. All right, and it was I can't remember all the names, but I know Elijah Muhammad was in it, and Martin Luther King's daddy was in it. Marcus Garvey was in it, and I don't know if it was Wentworth or Cherry, but regardless, I'm just not positive. I have to ask Captain Yatazak to get more on this. Go ahead.
If you know this, was this before or after Elijah Muhammad started the Nation of Islam?
This is before.
Okay.
He comes from it too, right. until that Farad Muhammad got a hold of him. And then everything changed. And he was able to become a great power on this earth. Okay? He was able to become a great power. You know why? Because he served his enemy. When you should never serve your enemy for power. Right. To me, Commander General Yohana is the most powerful man on the earth. Right. And that's because he never falters, he never faults, he never wavers, he never falls. Right. He stands strong every time. It could be him versus a million, and he knows the Lord is with him. And time after time after time, since 1969, it proves that the Lord is with the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, and with no one else. All these Israelite groups, all these Christians think because of numbers. Fake Israelites talk about their numbers. Right. When none of them are bigger than the Christian church. Okay. So if that's the case, we would be saved, right? Since you have all these numbers, but you know who the Lord is looking at? The Lord is looking at the body of Christ. That's right. And that's right here in the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, under real leadership. Okay? And you have to acknowledge the prophet that the Lord put on the earth. These Mormons, you know what they say? You know what a Mormon will come and tell you when they knock on your door? They will tell you that there is only one, the Lord only deals with one person since the beginning. And there is one true prophet on the earth. And you know who they say that is? Oh. Thomas Munson. That's who that devil, Esau, that Edomite is who they call the number one, the one true prophet on the earth. But no, the one true prophet on the earth is Commandant General Yohanan and his priests and prophets under him here in the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. And there is no disputing that. This is the home of the truth. Continue reading, young man.
Verse 4. Ye shall walk after the Lord your God.
You should walk after your own dreams.
Ye shall walk after the Lord your God.
After your own thoughts.
Ye shall walk after the Lord your God.
After your own lust.
After the Lord your God.
Uh-huh.
And fear him, and keep his commandments, and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him.
That's who you're supposed to cleave to. You're not supposed to cleave to the words of Martin Luther King and declare today is a victory. Right. If today was a victory, he wouldn't be dead. Right. Not from being killed. Okay? He wouldn't be dead. You wouldn't be a N-word still today. You know what you would be? You'd be like every other nation. But you're not. You are at the bottom. Okay? And you are at the bottom because you are nothing like these other nations. Go ahead, Officer Tamakia.
If I could, like, even Martin Luther King knew he made a mistake.
Right.
He said, I have led my people into a burning building. My dream became a nightmare. Right? And
hold on, before you continue, Salakia.
Yeah.
You know why his dream became the nightmare? Because all these other nations, they live the American dream. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians live the American nightmare.
Right.
Continue, Tamakia.
Nah, that's heavy. Yeah, right. And back to his, like you said, his nightmare, right? He led us into that burning building, and now we don't know what Black Wall Street was.
Right.
We don't know what Tulsa, Oklahoma was.
Right.
We don't know what, all our striving businesses could have become because we wanted to integrate. Well, in the ISUPK, the Bible is what we live, and we'll teach you how to separate, man.
That's right. Give Officer Tamakia a hand. And what you say is so heavy, we don't know about Black Wall Street. We don't know that $1, one single dollar bill during that. Hold on. First, let me say, we don't know about Black Wall Street. We don't know about Rosewood. We don't know about the Harlem Renaissance, like Officer Thamaki was saying. And also, what could we have became? You know what they call us now? They call us liquid gold, because as soon as we get money, it goes back to these other nations. When we had Black Wall Street, it took $1 1 year to circulate out of the community. So if you spent $1, just say back then you spent $1, that would go through our whole community for a year before it would ever leave our community. Now think how many dollars you stack on that before that $1 had left. We probably stacked 1,000 2,000, 100,000 from that $1 before that dollar left. And we still have all of this. Go ahead, Officer Tamaki.
And what the priest is saying, like stacking dollars, gas used to be 60 cents a gallon.
Right.
And so like think of $20. $20 was like $200 back then. So we was banking.
And you know how you know that? Because you could get a car now that will cost you $20,000, $30,000. You can drive off the lot in a Camaro
right
for $3,400. Brand new car.
Finance.
Now you got to pay $20,000, $30,000, $60,000 for fiberglass. When you was driving steel around, cars that would last. You know, before the 70s, before they ended all the that's why they ended the factories. They ended the factories in the 70s. Do you know our communities? It was able for the husband could just go to work. You would have 2 cars and a house. Okay, you would go to work. You would be able to provide everything. And then you know what your wife is doing? She's with the other wives in the community, doing what with the children? They're all raising the children as a community. Okay. But that's why they closed the factories and they introduced crack cocaine. Because the introduction of crack cocaine is like the breaking of the buck. Okay. Because what the breaking of the buck did, what they did is they take a slave, a strong slave. They'll take him outside. They'll bring his wife, his son, and his daughter out there. Yep. That is the Martin Luther King statue. You can. I don't even know what the hell that is.
Right.
All right. So what they would do is they would bring, a strong slave out in front of his wife, his son, and his daughter. They would tie him up to the horse and they would rip him apart. So after they ripped him apart, the woman is going to teach the son what? To be more humble, more self-serving, more soft. And then she has to teach the daughter, you're going to have to be hard because they could come snatch the man from you anytime and kill him. And master could come in here and rape us anytime they want. You fast forward to the 70s. What did they do? They took away the jobs. Of course, as men, we want to be able to take care of our family. Okay. We want to make sure that our family is good, that they're safe, that they can eat everything. So what do? We took the drugs in the 80s that they gave to us and we sold those. Okay. And then what happened? They came and snatched you out that house again. Instead of this time ripping you apart physically, they rip you apart mentally because they imprison you. And then what is that woman going to teach the son to be more subservient, to be more soft? Don't be like your daddy. Don't be out here doing this and that. And they're going to teach the daughter that you have to be more of the man because they could just come take the man anytime and throw him in jail for selling drugs. So we have to have a complete understanding of history of everything that happened and why we in the conditions that we are in. You continue reading, young man.
Verse 5. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death.
He shall be what?
Shall be put to death.
Tomaki, give me the wages of sin or death. He shall be what?
Shall be put to death.
That's why Martin Luther King was put to death. Okay? Because he had his own dream, his own way, his own vision. And you know another reason why he was put to death for that? Because look how many of his people it affected. Like the officer brought out, right? He said, Martin Luther King said, he feels like he led his people into a burning building. This integration, it did a lot to us. A lot of bad things happened to us and still happen, continue to this day. We don't build anything of our own since integration. We have a lot of historical black colleges, right? Do y'all know which one was built after integration? Out of all the historical black colleges, just take a guess, young man. Or maybe you know. How many was built after integration? Historical black colleges after integration.
Where else?
You think that was after integration?
I'm not really sure.
0. 0.
No.
Because we said their education system is where we was trying to get to. And none has been built. Continue reading.
Verse 5. Because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord, your God.
And that's what he did. We turned away from the Lord thy God when we followed that. When we wanted to love our oppressor. When we wanted to love our enemy. You can continue reading. I need to send the class out.
Because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt.
Which what?
Which brought you out of the land of Egypt.
Which is that house of bondage. Tamaki, you got what I asked for? Go ahead and read that.
It's the letter of Romans, chapter 6, verse 23. For the wages of sin is death.
What?
The wages of sin is
the
death.
The wages of sin is death. And Martin Luther King went against the Most High. And that's why that's why the wages of sin was death. That was the wages, because the Lord said that prophet, that dreamer of dreams, he's going to be put to death. So we have to definitely understand everything that is going on. All right, you can get back to it, young man.
Verse 5, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in.
Mm-hmm.
So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. Verse 6.
Now, hold on. No, I don't need verse 6. That's what we have to do. We have to put that evil away from the midst of us. Tamakia, give me the article on the teachers.
Come on. We head to this article about about the teachers, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is the title of the article. A hidden history of integration and the shortage of teachers of color. Let me read the inputs or just start?
Just go ahead and start.
All right. In exchange, in exchange to access the resources white schools had, black educationers had to give up inspiration and adversity, says historian Vanessa Walker. All right. Evelyn Catman, the first African-American woman.
Chapman.
Oh.
Yeah, Chapman.
I said Catman.
Yeah.
Salaki.
I just turned over to the article. I see that, but go ahead.
Evelyn J. Chapman, the first African-American female assistant superintendent in Baltimore County Public Schools, grew up under Jim Crow in Maryland during the 1940s and 50s.
So she grew up in hell. Okay? We in the Israelite school of UPK recognize this as hell right now, right?
Right.
We understand this. In the 40s and 50s, every so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian realized they was in hell then. Okay? Continue reading, Officer Tamakia.
Yes, sir. During the 40s and 50s, even though she could see the white elementary school from her house, she had to ride a bus for more than an hour to the black school.
Hold on, before we get deeper into how destroyed, this black school was, it said she could see the white school from her house. That school right there, she could see it. But she was not allowed to step foot in there. Okay? She had to ride the bus over an hour. Continue, Officer Tamakia.
All right. Where there was no running water.
Where there was what?
No running water.
So we go into schools where there's no running water. And you know what's so heavy about that? We were smarter then. In a school with no running water. All the schools got running water right now, right?
Right.
Continue reading.
Where there was no running water, students drank from a ladle, dipped into a bucket, and used an outhouse.
Used a what?
Used a landau dipped into a bucket and used an outhouse.
They had to use an outhouse. They had to go outside to some little box and use the restroom. Continue reading.
Even in the bitter cold of winter.
Even when?
In the bitter cold of winter.
So you're going to have to come outside from your classroom in the bitter cold of winter and go out there and sit where it's freezing so you could relieve yourself. Continue reading.
Come. But Chapman also recalled that her educators were extraordinarily talented.
They were what?
Extraordinarily talented.
There's no running water. We got to go out here while it's freezing. We're in the conditions of hell. And they were what?
Extraordinarily talented.
That's what you are, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. You are extraordinarily talented under every condition.
Right.
We are in hell and we are still better than every other damn nation.
Right.
Continue reading.
And provided her with excellent instruction despite the poor conditions.
Then read that one more time.
And provided her with excellent instruction despite the poor conditions.
No matter how poor our conditions are, we are going to give excellent instructions.
Right.
Because we knew back then. Continue reading.
This is the hidden. This is a hidden piece of history, said Vanessa Walker. Samuel Candler, Dobbs, professor of African American Educational Studies at Emory University and president-elect of the American Educational Resource Association. What we've seen written about inequality and oppressive school conditions is all true.
It's what? It's all what?
It's all true.
It's all true. We've been oppressed. Okay? It says we've seen written about inequality and oppressive school conditions is all true. Okay? This is true. Continue.
But it's incomplete. It's only part of the story.
It's only part of the story. Your messed up condition is only part of the story. Continue.
The script that was written, she said, is that segregation schools were all bad and that nothing really good happened for black children until we desegregated them into a white school.
What good came from that? We were learning. We had teachers who gave a damn about us. And they got the nerve to fix their mouth and said nothing really happened for black children until we desegregated them. So they said you got smarter because we desegregated you. We all know that is a lie. You know that's a lie, right, young man?
Huh?
You know that segregation was a horrible thing for so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. Continue reading.
If I could give some examples, like if you look at the history, when you learn social studies, they don't teach you the truth about what our people really went through and the actual victories that we won over here.
Right.
Like, for example, the Alamo. Put the belt on them boys.
Right. That's right.
Christopher Columbus.
Right.
Coming over here finding a new land. Like, somebody was already over here. How could this be a new world?
Right.
So, I mean,
and that's heavy because they always want to say that you were the savage. Right. So the Native Indian was a savage, right?
Right.
So-called blacks, the so-called Latinos was savage, right?
Right.
They like to call you an African, but they would say you was a savage over there, right? They always want to make you the savage when everything they do is savagery. Everything they do is a savage type of mindset.
True wrong.
Okay, Most High in Christ.
Trooper.
He on?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. No sweat. I got work for you, Trooper. Continue.
Did we put him on your live?
We'll see.
All right, let's see. All right.
The script that was written.
The script that was written, she said that the segregation schools were all bad and that nothing really good happened for black children until we desegregated them into white schools.
Mm-hmm.
That hidden history, that there was good educators and advocates within all black schools, she said, can also offer clues to the certain shortage of teachers of color in America's public schools.
That's what happened. Integration caused a shortage of teachers of color. We had teachers of color, principals of color. If you went to a black school, you still had to add all those, right? Still needed everything, right? Well, it was our people. Continue reading.
Exceptional.
Oh,
yeah. Good night. Exceptional educators.
Mm-hmm.
According to Walker, the experience of Evelyn Chapman was shared by many black students who had teachers of color before schools were desegregated, with limited professional options. Many well-educated black people became teachers who are ardently passed in a thirst for knowledge to their pupils.
You see that? So our teachers had a thirst of knowledge to pass down to their pupils, to their students. Continue.
All right. They developed rigorous curriculum.
You see, that's what we did. That's why we were so smart. That's why we were so educated. We had rigorous curriculum. You know what rigorous means, right? Okay, go ahead.
Complicated.
Yes. Okay. It wasn't just easy. What a rigorous. They're going to run you to the ground. You're going to know this. They're going to make you great. Just like the Israelite School of UPK.
That's right.
It's rigorous in here. You're going to work, and you're going to learn, and you're going to know. Okay? And we raise them up right and righteously here. You know what we were doing? Go back to where it says, passed on the thirst of knowledge to their pupils.
All right, come. With limited professional options, many well-educated black people became teachers who ardently passed on the thirst of knowledge to their pupils. They developed rigorous curriculum.
That's what we do here in the Israelite School of UPK. We have a young man here, and we pass on our thirst unto him. Oh, and he gets the rigorous. What does it say? Where's it at? The rigorous curriculum.
Trooper 2.
That's what, yeah, and the Trooper 2. Trooper Yagana and the young man, oh, they're getting rigorous curriculum. And that's why you'll be able to go out there and you'll be able to deal with anybody in this world once you become an officer in the Israelite School.
That's right.
And you will battle and you will confound many. Okay? Continue reading.
You want me to put you on screen? Came up, Mike.
Yes.
All right.
Because I want him to get some things for me. Tell the trooper to hold.
Hey, you there?
I'm here.
Tell him to get me Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10.
He said, Baba Kashak, can you hold Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead, Officer Tamaki. Keep reading up.
They developed rigorous curriculum that challenged and inspired them.
See, that's what so-called blacks, we are so great. Even though we are made to seem dumb, they play us like we're dummies. That's what we need. We need rigorous curriculum that challenges and inspires us. That's what we like. We like the hard things, right? That's why we are hard-headed.
Right.
We need to be challenged and inspired. Continue reading.
They developed rigorous curriculum that challenged and inspired them. And though society told black children that they were second-class citizens.
That they were what?
That they were second-class citizens.
We were told back then we were second-class citizens. We are second-class citizens. And that's what's so wicked about when we say separate, which we're going to get into deeper. It doesn't mean separate and go to some other damn land. We got so-called blacks and Hispanics going to Israel to be second-class citizens. We have them going to Ghana to be second-class citizens. We're going all over this world to be second-class citizens. Continue reading.
All right. Educators taught them that they had the same inner resources and potential as many human beings.
Which we had better. When you're looking at our inner resources, not our outer, not what's out there, but us having a one true God that we can latch onto, that's what it means by your inner resources and your potentials of being a human being. Your inner resource and your potential of being as any human being will be greater than any human being.
Right.
Okay? Continue reading.
Black educators discovered that they were the victim of an exchange model through which they traded aspirations and advocacy for access to the resources white schools had. This is what Vanessa Walker was quoting.
Continue.
These exceptional.
Oh,
yeah, it's like these exceptional educators.
And hold on right there. So-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, that's what you are. You need to remember that. You were exceptional. Exceptional means above. You're exceptional. The norm is right here. You surpassed the norm. You are exceptional. Continue reading.
These exceptional educators also continually advocated for equality and justice for their schools through widespread collaborations with their colleagues. Collaboration that had to be conducted in secret.
They had to be what?
Had to be conducted in secret.
They had to be conducted in secret. Continue.
Efforts to advance the minds and rights of African American children was dangerous work until Jim Crow.
No, not until Jim Crow.
Oh, sluggy. Under Jim Crow.
That's what it is. Efforts to advance the mind under Jim Crow would get you killed. Right. They don't want smart niggas. Continue.
African American children, sluggy. Efforts to advance the minds and rights of African American children was dangerous work under Jim Crow. In presentation, enduring implications of integration held at NEA headquarters last month and sponsored by the NEA Teacher Quality and Educational Policy and Practice departments with the National Coalition on School Diversity. Walker spoke about her resource exploring the segregation schooling of African Americans. After integration, she explains there was widespread dismissal, demotion, or forced resignation
of resignation. Look at that. It said after integration, she explains there was a widespread of dismissal of black teachers. There was a demotion of black teachers. Enforced of resignation. Y'all know what that is, right? You know when you have to resign? Right. You know when you say something wrong and they make you resign? You have to quit. Right. Your job. Continue.
Of tens of thousands.
Of what?
Tens of thousands.
Of what?
Tens of thousands.
Of tens of thousands. They took from us. Young man, you never forget your enemy took tens of thousands of your educators. We would not be in this condition if we still had these educators, if we were still going to these schools and not integrated. Continue reading.
That's right. Of tens of thousands of experienced, high credentialed black teachers and principals who staffed the black only schools.
High credentials. These were masters. You know what we had during this time of segregation? You know what we had? We had teachers so great that in elementary, your teacher was qualified to be a college professor.
Right.
That's how great they were, teaching you as an elementary student. They were excellent. Okay, the best teachers we could ever have. Okay, continue reading.
Highly credentialed black teachers and principals who staffed the blacks only schools. After schools were integrated, many white superintendents in the southern U.S. who were against the integration.
No, they wanted you to come be with them.
Who were against integration.
They were against integration. They did not want you in their schools. They did not want you coming with your power and your knowledge, taking over their whole sports team to where none of them is playing football or basketball now or baseball. They don't need them no more. Okay? And you so damn smart. Okay? Continue reading.
Who were against integration in the first place were unwilling to put black educators in a position of authority over white teachers and students.
That's why. Because in Esau's world, in your oppressor's world, you're not good enough to teach them.
Right.
Even though you are a master educator. It said you were exceptional, young man. You could teach all of these kids great things. But since you're a so-called Negro, there's no way you could teach these young white children anything about life. Even though you lived a life they would never live. You could teach them about their life and your life. What can they teach you? Continue reading. I mean, go ahead.
If I could, this article is heavy because if our people didn't know, they finna know. Like, what the so-called white man does is he puts that white supremacy title on everything that he does.
Right.
And he tries to stamp it. Just like he stamped that Caesar Borgia picture on us through the Bible.
Right.
And without the ISUPK, we'll still be facing the fact that Christ is a so-called white man.
Right.
A devil that the Bible speaks of. But giving thanks to Commander Giuliano for holding that torch and that throne down till Christ's return, now we know the truth, man.
That's right. Give him a hand. You continue reading.
All right. Inspiration. How you say that word again? Where we at? The new
aspirations, advocacy, access.
Aspiration, advocacy, access. Mm-hmm. As a result, gone were the teachers who showed black children that they could believe in themselves.
They could do what?
That they could believe in themselves.
Once we integrated, they're not going to teach you to believe in yourself. Only your kind is going to tell you to believe in yourself. Continue.
Right. Who taught, how you say that, civics?
Where
the second sentence. Who taught civics?
Yeah, it's got it. Yeah, yes, that's civics, definitely.
Who taught civics curriculum where they
Professor Wayne.
Yeah, my bad. Where they participated in Trooper, mute your mic, Baba Shah. All right, come on. They participated in democracy.
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 No sweat.
Democracy. I'm about to say it again. Democracy. Who, in the midst of the oppression, taught children to aspire.
So during oppression, we taught our children to still aspire, to still be great. Continue. And that's what we do today in Israelite School at UPK because we are still oppressed. Continue.
Black students also lost their advocates. Walker said, black education.
You see that? Once we integrated, that's what we lost. We lost our advocates, the people who stood out for you on the limb. Okay? Because these other nations, they're not going to stand up for you when you're in their classrooms. Only your teachers would have did that. Continue.
All right.
Black education.
Okay. Black education or organizations and networks have worked for years, partnering with activists like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., W.E.B. Du Bois,
Mm-hmm.
James Johnson, to launch the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
They furthered the aspirational curriculum that the black educators taught in their classrooms and created a system of advocacy for African American school children that stretched throughout the South.
Continue.
But after desegregation, the merger of some black educational organizations with white educational organizations meant that the efforts to advocate for the needs of black children would fade into the background.
So with desegregation, which is integration, the efforts of advocates for the black children, they would fade to the background. And all the advocates would be for what?
White kids.
For the white kids. Exactly. Continue reading.
All right. This is a picture of Vanessa Walker. Scroll down. Integration, Walker emphasized, was certainly the right thing for America.
No, it wasn't.
What was wrong, she said, was a method of integration that didn't adhere to the promise.
Which is your oppressor. That's who didn't adhere to the promise. They made a covenant, right, with us that we would integrate. They didn't adhere to that covenant. Continue.
Black educators discovered that they were the victims of an exchange model through which they traded inspirational advocacy for access to the resources white schools had, Walker said. Black educators believed in integration, she said, but they wanted an addictive model, not an exchange or compromise. They wanted to keep what they had, which were schools that inspired children and networks that would advocate and protect the children. What they did, they want to add to those things. The factories,
drop down to
resources.
I want you to drop down to a true vision of integration.
Okay, I'm gonna say that's the last true vision.
Yeah, it was just down a little bit from where you was.
Down. It was everything. Yeah. Okay. A true vision. Let me see what you got. So I can see how it looks. Oh, okay, I got it. A true vision of integration in which black students also had excellent black teachers who inspired and advocated for them became, instead of a compromise.
That's what happened. We compromised ourselves so we could be integrated. That's what Dr. Martin Luther King did. He compromised us so we can integrate. Continue.
In exchange for access, they gave up the aspiration and advocacy.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the legacy is a drastic shortage of diverse teachers that presents today. Since the 1970s, there has been a lack of representation of educators for students of color. They hadn't hadn't had opportunities to see themselves in their educators or recognize that they could one day hold the same position.
Continue reading.
Horace Tate archives.
Archives.
Oh, archives. Like they'll be teacher ass. Alright. One of the reasons this history about integration was hidden, Walker said, was that most of the records of black-only schools were systematically destroyed.
You see what happened? That's what they did with our black schools. They destroyed them. Continue reading.
But Horace Tate, a former Georgia school teacher, principal, state senator, had
meticulous
record and acted above his office.
See, he kept meticulous records in the attic above his office. Meticulous mean he kept detailed records. Continue reading.
As part of her research on African American schools, Walker met with the AIDS Tate for a period of 2 years. Listen to his story about the lifetime advocating for racial justice in schools. She asked her to return to the office in Atlanta, where she discovered an attic filled with a massive archive documenting the fight for educational justice. It could take nearly 2 decades for her to sift through the mountain of documents. And
you could drop that whole article right there. Trooper, give me Ecclesiastes 12 and 10.
Come. Book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 10. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that
Ecclesiastes.
The Apocrypha.
It's in the Apocrypha.
Oh, come. Ecclesiastes 12 and 10.
It's on the screen if you need it.
See, come. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 10. Never trust thy enemies.
No, sometimes trust thy enemy.
Never trust thy enemies.
Occasionally trust thy enemy.
Never trust thine enemies.
Uh-huh.
For like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness.
See, you're never supposed to trust your enemy. You see, Dr. Martin Luther King trusted the enemy, and it kicked all of our teachers out. You know how many jobs was lost? You know how many important people that was important to our upbringing were lost because we trusted our enemy, when the scriptures say never trusted thy enemy.
Right.
It says, as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Yeah, if you ever see anything that rests, it'll be small. It'll get a little hole, and then it'll rust till it rusts all of it out. So it will spread like a cancer. Okay? Continue reading, Trooper.
Come.
Verse 11.
Verse 11. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him.
You have to beware of your enemy. Continue reading.
And thou shalt be unto himself as if thou hast wiped a looking glass.
See, if you beware of him, it'll be like if you wipe the looking glass. Like, you know how the glass fogs up and you wipe it so you can see through? That's what this is talking about. Continue reading.
And thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away.
That rust didn't be wiped together. It could be covered up, but it wasn't wiped away. Continue reading.
Verse 12. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him set at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith.
You see, this, you don't let him sit by you. You don't let him in near, because once he comes in close, he has a plan, and his plan is evil, like iron rusted. All right, continue reading.
Verse 13. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent?
Hold on right there. Who would pity a charmer that is bitten by a serpent? All right, we see the Indians do it today, right? They'll take a king cobra and they charm it with the playing the flutes, right? They charm the snake. But if that snake bites him, what are you going to say? Well, he was over there playing the flute, playing around all close to a king cobra. You should die, right? We're not going to pity him for charming him, okay? Just like we're not going to pity for the ones that charm us. Continue reading.
Or any such as come now, wild beasts.
Drop down to 16.
Verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips.
The enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. If you ever been to camp, you understand that. All of us been to camp, we've heard that how they speak sweetly with their lips, right? Continue.
But in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit.
With his heart he imagined how to throw you in his pit. What is that pit? What does the pit mean? Death. But what is the pit? The Machia. Okay. The pit is hell. He's trying to put you in hell, oppress you. Okay, continue.
He will wipe with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood.
You see, he's never satisfied. No matter how many of you die, Trayvon Martin, Philil Castile, George Floyd, Mike Brown, it's never enough. Okay? It's never enough. Trooper, give me First Ezra 9 and 8. And you hold that for me. Officer Tamakia. I need that other article.
All right, let's get it. You need right now?
Right now. That's where we're going before I bring out these scriptures.
All right, let's get it.
Actually, go ahead, Trooper. You can give me the First Ezra 9 and 8.
9 and 8.
I still need you to bring that out.
First Ezra chapter 9 and verse 8. And now by confessing, give glory unto the Lord God of our Father.
That's what we do here in the Israelite School of UPK. We give glory to the Lord of our fathers. Okay? Not the Lord of all these other heathen nations. Continue.
Verse 9. And do his will and separate yourselves from the heathen.
Hold on. It says do his will and come together.
Do his will and separate yourselves from the heathen.
Do his will and we're all equal.
Separate yourselves from the heathen.
That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to separate ourselves from the heathen. Continue.
Of the land.
Of the what?
Of the
what?
Of the land.
It says of the land. It doesn't say move. It doesn't say separate yourself and move, right? It says separate yourself from the heathen of the land. The land that you're at today. Separate yourself right now. It doesn't mean go move. Continue reading.
And from strange women.
And from what?
Strange women.
And from strange women. The women of these other nations.
Right.
Now give me the article, Officer Tamakia.
If I may, before you bring that officer, every time you look back, it's always because Israel being overthrown is always because of one of these two things. Either joining ourselves to the heathen or because of one of our men with the women.
And that's exactly what it is.
You know what I'm saying? If you go back to the book of the Numbers or Deuteronomy, it could be both of them. When the Most High brought our people into the land, and he was talking about, you know what I'm saying, thou shalt make a covenant with the people. Deuteronomy 7, I think it was.
Yeah, we're going to go there.
Yeah, and he was, you know what I'm saying?
We will go there.
And another thing, he said, if you don't utterly destroy them, he said that should be a thorn in your side.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like, that's what they were, a thorn.
And that's what they're going to continue to be. And that's the problem, because we love our enemies instead of loving ourselves.
Right.
And that's what's so heavy about tonight's class. And I hope people are watching. If you're not, Most High in Christ. Lord be with you.
Right.
But this is important.
It's like if you're not tuned, you better be tuned in to Black Watch or Clean somewhere.
You better be doing something.
Yeah, it's like.
Go ahead and read.
This article about Orgy Mike. It's like
Got it?
We were madly in love.
This is talking about Dr. Martin Luther King and his white girlfriend. If you didn't know that Martin Luther King, the civil rights activist, he had a white girlfriend, this is why integration was so important to him. Right. Because of this. Go ahead and read that.
All right. The untold story
in Salakia. You give me 1 Kings 11:1. Trooper, you give me Judges.
Which one you get first?
Judges 14:1. We ain't getting none of those first because we getting the article. Oh, we're gonna get the one I said first. 1 Kings 11:1. And then we're gonna get the article first, though.
Read out?
No.
All right.
You're gonna go. What do you have?
1 Kings 11:1.
All right, you'll go when I say through this article.
The untold story of MLK's white girlfriend. White girlfriend. It's like, you want me to start or read this little title? And no, I'm gonna start.
Yeah, just start. Take me off the screen real quick.
All right.
And start reading that article.
I had to say Salaki first. All right. I had first learned her full name while reading Bearing the Cross, the 1986 biography about Martin Luther King Jr., written by David Garrow. In the book, Garrow briefly describes a serious relationship between King and a young white woman around the same age named Betty. They had met at Crozer Theological Cemetery in Chester, Pennsylvania at the time, where King was a divinity.
You help out?
Huh?
You help?
Well, yeah, what's his word?
Divinity.
Okay, yeah, I said it right. Divinity student from the age of 19 to 22 when he graduated in May 1951. And bearing the cross, Garrow quoted a close friend and mentor of King's at the time, Reverend Paris J. Barbus, who said the relationship had left King as a man with a broken heart.
You see that? Man, you see that? This is the whole reason for integration. Because he loved that white woman and he had him a broken heart. Where you at? Let me see on that.
Of the first paragraph. He never recovered. We keep going?
Yeah, keep going because I'm at a whole different thing, but just keep going. I'll find it.
All right. In a way, I never recovered from that quote. As I wrote my own book about King, I wasn't satisfied with such a short description of such an apparently devastated relationship. Garrow was the first biographer to discover Betty's last name and comfortably.
You can get that.
Yeah.
That's your phone?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, get that.
It's like, yeah, it's still from the Black Watch. I got to show you. Austin page. All right, okay, bet. Burnt it in a heavyweight end note at the back of the book. The end note took me to the 2 cross-country flights, spurred dozens of calls to the wrong number, and knocked on countless doors of people I thought might have known Betty. They didn't. But I left my business card. It's like, anyway. And eventually, one of those people found someone who might know Betty. That person sent an address to which I sent the letter. It worked.
Mm-hmm.
From the start, Moit's and King's relationship was anything but carefree.
It wasn't carefree at first. They knew they needed to hide this because this is wrong. Continue.
Right. Almost all of King's friends,
including Barbara. Mm-hmm. It's still Barbara because you can spell it either way.
Right. Barbara tried to discourage him from staying with Betty.
All of it. Did you see that? Almost all of King's friends.
Right.
Say, you do not need to be with this woman. Continue reading.
Can you turn this light? How you doing? So click the thing on the cord.
Continue.
All right. Yeah. Knowing tried to discourage him from staying with Betty, knowing what a interracial relationship could mean to his future.
Because they wanted him to be the civil rights activist. They wanted him to do all these things. So they knew an interracial relationship would not be good for him. Just like the Lord knows that. Continue.
I thought it was a dangerous situation that could get out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
And if it did get out of hand, it would smear King.
It didn't say he would be hurt, right? It didn't say he'd be killed. It didn't say he would die. It said it would what?
Smear King.
It would smear him because he wants to be a civil rights activist. Can't be that with a white woman.
Right.
Continue.
His classmate, Cyril. It's like Piley recalled in 1986 interview, it will make his future hard.
It would make what?
It will make his future hard.
And that's why he got Coretta Scott, some light-skinned sister, some real fair sister, because he's trying to get as close to white as he can. Continue reading off the Tamakia.
But Betty recalls that time, and the young King would found this anyway. In our year-long correspondence and one long meeting in January 2016, Betty, who recently passed away at the age of 89, told me the story of their relationship and just how close King came to walking away from his future plans for her. We were madly in love.
They were what?
We were madly in love.
You were madly in love. Anybody know what that means? What does madly in love mean?
Crazy about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's right.
Yeah.
Gotta raise your hand, but yeah, that's right.
Go against the world.
Crazy.
Right.
That means crazy in love. That's what madly in love means. Crazy. Okay, continue reading.
The way young people can fall in love, she told me during our conversation at her house. At her home. It's like she started at the beginning. From a young age, Betty Moitz had a family connection to Crozer, where ML, as King was known at the time, was pursuing his studies before returning to his native Atlanta to follow in his father's footsteps as a preacher at Ebenezer Baptist Church. Moat's grandmother Elizabeth became the school's deacon in 1933. Then she retired. Betty's mother, Hannah Moat, took over the position, and she kept it throughout ML's years there. The family lived in a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom home on Crozer campus, and Betty graduated with honors from Eddie Stone's High School, located only 2 miles away. Betty spent many days in her youth walking over the kitchen to check on her mother, lending an extra hand, or just hanging.
You could drop down to the ad first. Not the next paragraph, but the one after that.
Come. At first, she and ML were just making small talk in Miss Hunter's kitchen.
That's at first they were just making small talk. But he was trying to get this woman. Through all this small talk, he was trying to make big things happen. Continue reading.
Nothing would cause nearby students to turn their heads. But it continued. As they spoke on and off over the next few months, Betty learned of ML's background and her tremendous hopes for the future. Crozer was known as a very racial religious institution. Crozer was known as a very radical religious institution. She told me. So I was surprised to hear from ML himself that he had more conservative beliefs.
Those conservative beliefs was integration. That was his conservative belief. Was I'm going to get this white woman by any means necessary. Even if I have to lead my people into a burning building. Continue reading.
Snow bunny or no bunny?
That's right.
ML's own feelings for Betty were something he tried to keep secret.
You what?
Something he tried to keep secret.
He wanted it to be a secret. He didn't want it to be known.
Though he'd even written to his mother about his other recent dating prospects, he would not have been in all eager to inform her that he was interested in a young white woman.
He could not tell his mother that he was interested in this white young woman because she would not approve for any damn thing. Continue.
Right. Walter McCall, ML's best friend and hallmate, who went to Mac, known
by Mac.
Oh yeah, it's like
because he was a little Mac. Mac and all the sisters. He took all the sisters while MLK took all the heathens. Continue.
All right. ML's best friend, hallmate, who went by Mac, known of course, but he saw no harm in helping his best friend separate himself even further from racial norms they both believed were outdated, and though a few other students took note of ML and Betty's friendly dialogue, it was, after all, a small world inside old Maine. No one seemed to bothered.
No one seemed to be bothered because they didn't know what was going on. They just thought it was harmless. Okay? But we're going to continue reading. We're going to see that it was a problem. Continue.
Fellow Crozer seminarian.
Where you at?
Next verse. I mean, yeah.
There ain't no... All right, go ahead. Just go from where you at.
All right. And King friend Marcus Wood in particular understood some of what spurred ML's attraction.
So, Feller Kozar seminarian and King's friend Marcus Wood in particular understood some of the spurred ML's attractions. They said they wanted that milky skin. Oh, I understand why he wanted that milky skin. I understand. You said what?
No, I was gonna put you back on camera. So
oh yeah, definitely. I want to stay on camera. Okay, but yeah, so right there it says, just continue.
I suppose he thought that here I am out of the South now.
This is what King thought. He's out of the South now. Continue.
And not back home.
Mm-hmm.
Wood said in a 1986 interview, out in the open, nothing illegal, a place. Sure, I can go over and talk to this white girl.
This is what he was thinking. Hey, we're not in the South no more. I'm free. I can go talk to this little snow bunny, this pink toe. Go get me a pink toe. Continue.
Throughout the course of ML's first year at Crozer, his relationship with Betty continued to develop as their chats moved out of Miss Hannah's basement kitchen. Soon, ML was also making a straight 5-minute walk from the old main to visit at the Moit's home.
To visit her at the Moit's home. That's right.
He used to go over their house quite often to see her.
Sometimes.
Quite often.
Every once in a while.
Quite often.
Yep. Continue.
To see her. Wood wrote in his 1998 memoir. Yeah, memoir. Right. Emil felt at ease with Betty. It was enthusiasm.
He felt that he did what?
He felt at ease with Betty.
Nah, with Keisha.
With Betty.
With Renee.
Betty. With
Shalika.
Betty.
He felt good with Betty with the good hair. Continue.
Right. It was enthusiasm.
It was what?
Enthusiasm.
He was excited. Continue.
With which he spoke on a wide range of topics that first attracted her. He would talk and talk and talk, Betty says.
He wouldn't shut his damn mouth. He loved her so much. I just love you with your milky skin and your dog smell and your whatever the hell else. And your hair shedding like a German Shepherd, right. Like a collie.
Bougie breath.
I love Lassie. I used to watch. I love Lassie. You remind me of Lassie. You just shed it all over my bed. Your hair's everywhere. Oh, I love it. Oh, you smell like a dog once you get wet. I love it.
I love how much of people are narcissism.
Yeah, with your milky skin complexion. You're like silk that feels like leather. Okay, continue reading.
If I could.
Go ahead.
I love that white Jesus.
Right.
That's what he said. Good night.
Exactly. Go ahead.
All right. Betty said, at first, they discussed his time in the South and how different it was for the idolized culture within the seminary. He didn't yet know how, but according to Betty, one thing ML knew at the age of 19 was that he could change the world.
Continue.
When ML returned to school the following fall of 1949, his and Betty's relationship continued to blossom. But this was also when the difficulties began for the young couple.
Continue.
By this point, they had become more comfortable on campus, sitting on benches and talking about their plans and goals for the future in full view of ML's classmates and teachers.
So they're talking about the life they want to create together. Continue.
When asked if she had concerns about how they might be seen, Betty shrugs. I never noticed. I always had a tan and dark brown hair. But the 20-year-old ML was more aware of the potential social fallout.
You see? He knew society would not accept this. Continue.
It's important to note that in 1949, interracial relationships were still very much taboo in the United States. Fewer than 40 miles from Crozer was the state of Maryland, where the first law against interracial marriage was
against it. Okay, continue.
Enacted in 1664. The state would keep similar laws on its books for more than 300 years. Even in 1958, a Gallup poll will report that an astounding 94% of white Americans disapproved of interracial marriage.
And that's the same as today.
Right.
I guarantee about 95% of them hate you. Continue reading.
Pennsylvania was one of the most flexible states when it came to miscegenation.
And you know why? Do you know why? Right now in Pennsylvania, 90% of so-called blacks are under some kind of government supervision, probation, prison, parole. Okay?
Right.
They're in the 90 percentile. Most of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians there, they are in the court system or going through it. Continue.
When it came to the miscegenation laws, still, that didn't mean ML and Betty could head over to the local cafe and hold hands out in the open.
They still couldn't be in the open. It'll be a secret. Continue.
Members of the cruiser community, despite their liberalism, would have had trouble throwing their support between such an arrangement. They weren't against it, but they weren't actually for it either.
Which means they were against it. Continue.
Flores, scoffs, and head shakes were inevitable.
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 It's like inevitable.
Inevitable.
Inevitable. It's like
keep going.
Inevitable. Cyril Powell, ML's classmate from Panama, who worried about the relationship smearing. It's like, yeah, good night, smearing. King worked in the kitchen and dining hall and witnessed ML and Betty's getting closer.
Because they looking, what is this nigga doing with her? I got to take a closer look. Continue.
Worked in the kitchen and dining hall and witnessed ML and Betty getting closer. Like, I knew about it, thought it was bad, but I didn't want to get involved.
Continue.
Soon the dates mainly consist of Betty driving ML around the city of Chester, ignoring the squalls and of society. I listened. Betty says, and he just talk. But she loved it. His enthusiasm, his anxious hopes to return south to help people. He was wonderful, joy to be with, and listen to.
Just read that next one, and we're gonna get up off that, and we're gonna touch on some scriptures.
When ML's sister Christine came to visit.
What's her name?
Christine.
Steen. Ain't no A in there. No, ain't no stain. He trying to put that country twang. He trying to put the country twang on the name.
Hey, this English language is difficult and it's sickening.
It is. And it's a dead language.
Right. This is just like visiting dinosaurs.
Right.
It's like came to visit him at Cruiser, as she did regularly. His friendship with Betty crept back in the shadows.
He tucked it away. He hid it. Continue.
It wasn't that ML didn't trust Christine. It's like their relationship had always been strong. It was the fact that Christine was a direct conduit to their mother.
She was a strict conduit to the mother. She thought like her mother thought, right. Which you shouldn't be with this devil. Continue.
And that was something ML could not risk. Telling his mother about Betty would have meant putting her in a vital, how you say that, in a inevitable position.
Inevitable.
Yeah, inevitable.
In.
I guess this is Southern slang. Just tongue time, you would say.
It really do be.
Withholding important information from their mother in every letter and phone call home. And if Christine were to let slip the ML had been getting closer to a white woman, ML could only imagine the disappointment in his mother's eyes.
All right, we're gonna drop that, and that's why he hid. That's why he hid everything from them, because he knew him going to this other side, he would be a disappointment. You give me what you got. 1 Kings 11 and 1.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11 and verse 1. Mm-hmm. But King Solomon loved many strange women.
You what?
But King Solomon loved many strange women.
We just read in 1 Ezra 9:9 that he would separate himself from the heathen of the land and from strange women. Strange women is any woman that's not from your nation. Continue reading.
Together with the daughter of Pharaoh, mm-hmm. women of the Moabites, Ammonites.
Hold on. Pharaoh. Who was that?
The ruler of Egypt.
Which are the what?
Enemy.
No. What is their names?
Egyptians.
The Egyptians. Continue.
Women of the Moabites.
Who are the Egyptians though? What are Egyptians? They are what?
Strange.
Hamites.
What do we call them today?
Africans. Yeah.
Africans. Continue.
Women of the Moabites.
Moabites. Who are the Moabites today?
China.
Continue.
Women of the Moabites. Ammonites.
Who are the Ammonites today?
Japanese.
You know, too. I'm trying not to raise my.
I know it's an Asian nation because I read it.
Who are the Africans?
Hamites.
Okay. Continue.
Ammonites, Edomites.
Who are the Edomites?
White folk.
Okay.
Zidonians and Hittites.
Who are the Zidonians?
I'm not sure.
What did you just say?
Edomites. Zidonians and Hittites.
Continue.
Verse 2. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them.
You should not go into them. What does that mean? Go into them.
You shouldn't penetrate.
Continue reading.
Ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods.
They will do what?
For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods.
That's what they do. That's what happened to Martin Luther King. His heart was turned away from his God because he started loving the enemy. Continue.
Solomon clave unto these in love.
Solomon did what?
Solomon clave unto these in love.
He clave unto them. He claimed. Verse 4.
For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father.
Continue reading.
Verse 5. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites.
See, he's starting to go after these other gods now. Continue reading.
Verse 7.
No, go to 7.
Verse 7. Then Solomon built in high place for Shamash, the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. Verse 8. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burn incense and sacrifices to their gods.
That's why we have to get away from the strangers, because we will burn it for all of our gods. If we have an African woman, we're going to be representing Ra and Nut and Geb. If we have a Moabite woman, we're going to be representing Buddha. If we have a Edomite woman, we're going to be representing Caesar Borgia. So if we have an East Indian woman, we're going to be representing what was her name? The little blue, the little Shiva. Blue Shiva. Okay. Continue reading.
Verse 10. No, verse 9. And the Lord was angry.
Oh no, I don't need that. Trooper Yagana. You have what I had. You hold for me.
Yeah, Book of Judges, chapter 14, verse 1.
Khan, go ahead and read that.
And Samson went.
Samson, because Solomon ain't the only man who loves strange women. No. You see, we were just talking about how Dr. Martin Luther King loved a strange woman, right? And we're going to show you in the Bible how that's wrong. Go ahead and read, Trooper.
And Samson went down to Timnah and saw a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines.
So the daughters of this African tribe, he seen, and he wanted her. Continue.
Verse 2, and he came up and told his father and his mother and said, I have seen a woman in Timnah of the daughters of the Philistines. Now, therefore, get her for me to wife.
So he's telling his parents, go to this other nation and get her me as my wife.
What chapter verse is it?
Judges 14:1.
Continue reading.
Yeah, verse
3. Then his father and mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren? Or among all?
Start at verse 3 again, Bible Shah.
Con? I don't want to come.
Go ahead.
Then his father and his mother said unto him.
This is what his father and mother said to him. This is what some of us are going to have to say to our children. Go ahead and read, Trooper.
Is there never a woman among the daughters
of thy brethren? Is there what?
Is there never a woman among thy daughters of thy brethren?
Is there never a woman of thy daughters of thy brethren? Okay? Is there ever? That's what we need to understand. Samson, he never was trying to get with his people. I got a cousin. He said he only messed with white girls because they got that fire. I said, have you never been with one of us? Have you never been with one of us? Because what the hell? Like, no, our sisters have that fire. If not, hit no for whatever. I don't care. Continue reading.
Among all my people.
Among what?
Among all my people.
So why do you have to go against our people and take on? Continue reading.
That thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines.
Mm-hmm.
And Samson said unto his father, Get her for me, for she pleaseth me well.
He want that one that pleases him well. Continue reading.
Verse 4. But his father and mother knew not that it was the Lord.
No, read that again. Read that again.
But his father and mother knew not that it was of the Lord.
Continue.
That he sought an occasion against the Philistines. For at that time the Philistines had dominion over Israel.
And that's what we want to do. It says, but his father and his mother knew not that it was of the Lord, that he sought the occasion of the Philistines, for at the time the Philistines had dominion over Israel. What does that mean?
They're bearing rule over our people.
They're bearing rule, but I want to know. But it says, but his father and mother knew not that it was of the Lord.
Maybe I want to say because they didn't know it was law.
They didn't know what was law.
Interracial marriage is wrong.
It don't say that though. It says they knew that this was not of the Lord. They knew this was. They knew not that this was. It didn't say they didn't know this. They knew this was not of the Lord. It said they knew that not this was of the Lord.
Can I answer that?
You can answer it if you can.
All right. Probably because they didn't know it was in his will.
Give that brother a hand.
Practical. That's right.
Give that young man a hand.
Right.
Give me Luke. Yagana, give me Luke 1:45. First, give me Romans 8:14.
Romans 8:14.
No, Romans 9:19. Salakia.
9:19. Book of Romans, chapter 9, verse 19. Thou wilt say then unto me, why doeth he yet find fault? For who have resisted his will?
Who has resisted the will of the Most High? Nobody has resisted the will of the Most High. Okay? Give me Romans 8:14.
Book of Romans, chapter 8, and verse 14. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God.
See, sometimes you led by the Spirit of God. Sometimes he has a plan. Don't Christians love to say that? The Lord's plan and all that. That's what happened. Sometimes you get a spirit on you. Now you continue where you was.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
Continue.
Verse 2. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them.
You shall love them.
Shall smite them and utterly
be
destroy
equal
them.
with them.
Thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them.
Care for them.
Thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them.
Continue.
Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
Continue.
Verse 3.
Yeah, what?
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them, thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son.
That's what Martin Luther King. He wasn't supposed to make marriages and give to that son. What you got, Tamaki? A precept?
Nah, it's kind of a precept to cut Christianity, but I thought the Lord loved everybody.
Yeah, no.
Like the Lord telling you, neither shall thou make marriages with them. Who is this them talking about? Anybody? True, young man?
Heathen.
That's right.
The Lord don't love the heathens.
Continue reading.
Stop loving your oppressors, MLK lovers.
Deuteronomy 7 and 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
Hey, you don't give your trooper. Give me 1 Chronicles 16 and 35. You're not supposed to take marriages unto their son. I mean, your sons, you're not supposed to take their daughters to your son. And you're not supposed to give your daughters to their sons. Continue reading.
Verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me.
They will do what?
For they will turn away thy son from following me.
Didn't we read that about Samson? I mean, about Solomon?
Come on.
Okay, continue.
That they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly.
Verse 6.
Verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
Next to.
Above all people.
Equal.
Above all people.
Continue.
That are upon the face of the earth.
So-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, that's what you are. You're special. Okay? Unto the Lord, above all people on the earth. All right, Trooper. 1 Chronicles 16 and 35.
Book of 1 Chronicles, chapter 16 and verse 35. And say ye, save us, O God of our salvation, and gather us together, and deliver us from the heathen.
See, that's what we ask for. We ask for the God of our salvation to save us and to deliver us from the heathen. Continue reading.
That we may give thanks.
Zechariah 11 and 5.
Go ahead. That we may give thanks to the holy name and the glory in thy praise.
That's what we're going to do. Especially when we get taken out of the land of the north. The Bible says there'll be a time where we no longer talk about Egypt, where we no longer talk about the Passover in Egypt, but we'll talk about being rescued out the land of the north, okay? And see, the reason we have to be rescued from the heathen, delivered from the heathen, is because of this. Zechariah 11 and 5. And then, Trooper, give me Job 9 and 24.
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 11 and verse 5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
Got security announcements.
And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich.
And that's what happens. Our oppressors slay us and they hold themselves not guilty. That's exactly what they do. They hold themselves not guilty. George Zimmerman, he got off for killing Trayvon Martin, right? Did those cops that killed Mike Brown go to jail?
No.
Philando Castile? No. Because whose possessors slay them, which means kill you, and they hold themselves not guilty. That's what they do. Trooper, you got what I wanted?
Hold on, I'm on concept. Book of
Job.
Hold
on. This is why they hold themselves not guilty. Go ahead, Joe.
Book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
No, the righteous.
Given into the hand of the wicked.
The humble.
Given into the hand of the wicked.
The meek.
Given into the hand of the wicked.
The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. All right, even if you don't believe a goddamn thing that the ISUPK says, it says, the Bible says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Who is running the earth right now?
Our person.
And is it wicked or not? Is there drugs on every corner? Is there prostitution on every corner? Is there blasphemy everywhere? Is there homosexuality everywhere? That's because the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. Finish it out, Trooper.
He covered the faces of the judges thereof.
He covered the faces of the judges thereof. Go ahead.
If not, where and who is he?
If not, then where and who is he? If that's not the devil who oppressed you, who killed you, who covered up the face of your king, Yahweh Shah Mashiach, and turned him to look like him, then who? This is an Israelite school. Any questions? Trooper, you got any questions?
No, sir.
This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the Commander General Yohana. Let's get the security announcements.
With the ISUPK. It's like it. This is ISUPK security announcements. With the ISUPK, start at 1 West. On 25th Street, Harlem, New York. Work for new brother sister. When the new brother sister comes to school, they are off limits. 6 months, they're to be salute only. They're here to share themselves with the world. They need transportation, teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must give permission from the head to speak to a brother sister. After another 6 months in which the brother sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. The book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. The book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. We see to the Hebrew, my Aishara, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offer for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. The upcoming holy convocation will be the Feast of Purim. This will be on the 14th day and the 15th day of the 12th month. This will fall on a Sunday, March the 5th, and Monday, March the 6th, 2023. You find this in the book of Esther, chapter 9, verses 20 through 31. If anyone wants to become a trooper in the school, start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, scarf. I'm Officer Thamagia. This includes the ISUPK security now, special class Dr. Officer Shamal one.
We're going to Amagium. All right, we're going to Sar and face the east, and we're going to say the Lord's Prayer. All right? Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Wadash, Ayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malakuka, Tazayaka, Ayah, Asha,
Barataza,
Kawa,
Haya,
Bashamayim, Latan Lalawa, Lakam, Yawa,
Wasalakina, Kawakina, Wala,
Tabayan Anawa, Banasayawan, Abo, Awashanawa, Mayan, Ra, Kaya, Baka, Amalakwa, Wahala, Wahatapara, Aman, the English, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh, thy kingdom come, will be done, in earth, as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts. We forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, Lord, forever. So be it. Amen. All right. Men of Israel, we're going to give a courtesy salute to the teacher. Men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak,
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua
Barakatuh. All right, Yajamatah. We're going to turn, Sar, and face the sisters. All right, sisters, you stand up and rise. All right, men of Israel, Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Shemol Tamba Shimei Oshai. All right, Yajamatah, class dismissed. Clap it up.